Here we are. All right. So, been having some conversations with family members recently that got me triggered, got me activated, got me like wanting to pour into people, but not wanting to cross any boundaries, not wanting to, I guess, make people feel like I'm trying to tell them how to live their lives or whatever it may be. When things go on in my life and in my family, I realize that it's just the universe showing me a couple things. One, how much I've learned, and it's like that contrast of like, oh my God, like, thank you God that I'm not experiencing that, right? Like, thank you God that I've learned some of the things that have allowed me to lift myself up out of those states of being. And holy shit, maybe this person here isn't really ready to receive, but I know they're not the only person that's dealing with this, and there are a bunch of people out there that could get tremendous value out of what I have to share. So that was the beginning of my entire journey. My entire journey was waking up every day, crying my eyes out with bliss and gratitude and saying, yo, I have to talk about this. Like, it's this overflow of just, I have to share this stuff, because if there's one person out there that can get 1% closer to feeling how good I feel right now, that would make me so happy to be able to have that type of impact, right? So, I'm making this video today for anyone who's feeling depressed, for anyone who's feeling like they are not experiencing what they want to be experiencing in life right now. Maybe you are not making the type of money that you want to be making. Maybe you see your friends or family or even people that you work with. Maybe you know that they're not as talented or as gifted or as valuable as you are, but somehow they're making more money than you, and you're like, what the fuck, right? Maybe you're not where you want to be in your relationships. You know, maybe you're working on or struggling with communication, like your spouse or your significant other isn't understanding you, you're not understanding them, there's like this clash that's going on. So maybe you're just struggling in your relationships. Maybe people are triggering you a lot, you know, and you find yourself being highly activated by people saying very simple little things that deep down you know it shouldn't really make you feel this activated, right? Maybe you're struggling with fitness and health, and like, you know, you shouldn't be eating this shit, you should be working out, but you can't get yourself to develop the discipline necessary. This video is definitely for you, okay? For anybody who's struggling in life, feeling stuck, right? Maybe you're going through a quarter life or a midlife crisis and you just feel stuck. You don't know what the next step is. Maybe you feel like you want to run away. You know, you're like, all this fucking family drama and all this shit here in America. I just want to go somewhere. I want to run away, right? Maybe you're feeling like this. If that sounds like you, this is definitely for you, okay? And I guess we can entitle this Lifting Yourself Out of Depression and Into Empowerment, right? From depression to empowerment. The first thing that has added a crazy amount of value into my life. Let me step on my Eckhart Tolle energy. So let's call this from depression to empowerment. And what is empowerment? Empowerment is feeling powerful, right? Feeling like you have the power to create the reality that you desire, okay? From depression to empowerment. So, first step, and if you've watched any of my videos, you know this is the thing. You've heard me talk about this before. This is the first and most important step to anything. And I can't even coach somebody. Like, I was just speaking to a client last week, and I was like, listen, I'm going to be challenging your ego. And when I'm challenging your ego, when it might feel like I'm slapping the shit out of your ego, I need you to know I'm not slapping the shit out of you. You are not your ego. You are not your conditioned mind. You have a mind. You are pure consciousness. So, step one is to disidentify from your ego. And again, when I say the word ego, this is a short way to say conditioned and programmed mind. You have a mind that has been conditioned and programmed by your parents, mostly, society, teachers, coaches. Between the ages of 0 and 7, really, were the years of your life where your mind was being it was a sponge, just taking in all this information, and it was developing its beliefs about the world, its beliefs about yourself, your whole paradigm of the world, and paradigm of, like, the way you see yourself and the way you see the world was programmed into you between the ages of 0 and 7 years old. Most of it happened even before you had language, pre-language. And I'll get into why many of us, we operate with language too much. And forgive me if I get distracted. I just want to make sure my puppy is okay over here. He might end up bothering me to go outside. So forgive me if I have to cut this short. But you have a mind that's been conditioned and programmed by your parents, by society. You are not the mind, okay? Here's my best way of putting it. If I came to you and I batted you over the head with a baseball bat, and you were concussed to the point so bad that you had amnesia, and you forgot everything. You forgot your name. You forgot your race. You forgot your profession. You forgot your likes and dislikes. You forgot your family. You forgot your upbringing, your past. You forgot everything. You don't know who you are. All you would know is that you are. All you would know is that you exist. People would say, "Who are you?" And you'd be like, I am. That's all you would know, is that you are. There's a man named Rene Descartes that said, "I think, therefore I am." No. I just am, therefore I am, therefore I think. You don't need to think to know that you are. Your beingness, your isness, is the foundation of everything. It's who you really are. Your awareness of being, because you can think, you can be without thinking, right? That's the whole meditation. Monks literally they dedicate their entire lives to just being, because they recognize, I'm a human being, not a human doing. And if you are identified with your ego, if you believe that you are a bundle of a bunch of mental constructs and ideas that were programmed into you by parents and society, you will live your whole life as if you're a fish in water, and the fish doesn't know that it's in water until it pops up out of the water and it can't breathe, right? The water is his whole reality, right? Your mind is your whole reality. And it isn't until you experience true silence of the mind, true pure consciousness, that you realize, oh shit, I'm not that mind. They're just thoughts. And if you are identified with your mind, you will, I love how Michael Singer puts it, okay? If you have not read The Untethered Soul, you must read this book. You must read this book, because just read the first chapter. Don't, if you're not identified as a reader right now, just commit yourself to reading the first chapter, okay? Because what that's going to do is give you some words to describe just how powerful it is to disidentify from your mind and realize that you are not the voice of the mind. You are the one who hears it. And I love Michael Singer. He says, most of us spend our entire lives in the name of trying to find ourselves. We're trying to figure out which one of these many things that the voice in our head says is who we really are. But the answer to that question is very simple. None of them is who you really are. You are pure consciousness, pure awareness of being. And what's cool is that pure consciousness just happens to be connected with everyone and everything. Consciousness is the substance of reality, as Neville Goddard says. Consciousness is fundamental. Fundamental. That's why, God and consciousness to me are synonymous. Awareness of being, God is just my awareness of being, and my awareness of being is no different from someone else's awareness of being. This is why it's so easy for me to go into a networking event or meet new people, because I know you're me. You are pure consciousness, as am I. You might believe you're an ego. You might believe you're a bundle of mental constructs and ideas. But I know who you are. That's not who you are. And because I know who you are, I have no fear of your judgment. Because if you're judging me negatively, I know you just don't know who you are. And now, instead of feeling all triggered that you would judge me negatively, I just feel bad for you. Like, shit, you don't know who you are? Damn. Sorry. You think you're a bundle of mental constructs and ideas? Ugh, that must suck, right? And I know it does suck, because true self-worth and self-love can never happen in the ego, because you're only loving thoughts and mental constructs. It's not true love. True love is the recognition of our essential nature of oneness, the recognition, the desire to experience our essential nature of oneness. So that mindset, that recognition, that knowing of who I really am as pure consciousness or pure awareness, what it allows me to do is not shame myself for having thoughts that aren't supporting me. And this is the core of so much, okay? Once you've identified or disidentified from your ego, I would say step 2, this is just right off the dome. I didn't plan. I don't know what the steps are. This is just what's coming to me right now. Step 2 is to transform toxic shame into healthy shame. Go from having toxic shame to healthy shame. Okay, there's a core wound that all of us humans have. And this core wound usually comes from getting conditional love when we were younger. Most of us had to, if you didn't get good grades, you were getting shamed. If you didn't do, respect mom or dad or whatever it is and act in line with their preferences, you were getting shamed for that. And that shame, we tend to internalize this idea that I'm not enough, I'm unlovable, I'm not worthy. I'm basically bad and deeply flawed as a human being. This is what we internalize. This is the deep core wound that most, if not all, humans have in their subconscious minds and in their bodies, right? Subconscious mind and body are one thing. Toxic shame is the shame that says, I fucked up, and because I fucked up, I'm a bad person. I'm unlovable, I'm not good enough, I'm unworthy, right? Healthy shame is the shame that says, I fucked up, because I'm a fucking human, and I'm never going to be perfect. And this shame is just a message from my soul trying to communicate to me that I acted out of line with who I really am, who I really want to be. And now I get to move on to high vibrational emotions that are going to serve and empower me in this lifetime. That's actually going to allow me to make the change necessary. Because I'll never forget, I had a coaching session. And shout out to Dr. Lawrence. Is he a doctor? I think he might be a doctor. Lawrence, my man, Lawrence McNair. Shout out. Love you so much, brother. Thank you so much for what you did for me, man. Because what he allowed, he just held up a mirror. And he said, oh, this is where you're at? Oh, okay. That's it. He just held up a mirror and showed me what was really going on with me. And then afterwards, I felt all this shame, and I felt in this low vibration. And I remember projecting the shame onto him like, oh, he must be a bad coach because, a coach is supposed to make you feel inspired and motivated, and I'm supposed to feel good right now. Like, why do I feel this shame? And I was projecting it onto him, and then I brought awareness to it. And the only reason I had awareness of it is because I disidentified from my ego and I practice meditation on a daily basis, and I'm aware of my thoughts that are happening, right? I'm not just wrapped up in the incessant chatter of my mind as if my mind is who I am. Okay, so going back to step number 1, only way I was able to become aware of the fact that I was projecting my shame is because I identify as pure awareness or pure consciousness, and I notice my thoughts. I'm noticing the thoughts. I'm not just wrapped up in them, right? So I noticed, projecting shame onto him. What happened was he just held up a mirror. And when I saw me for what I was really going on with me, I felt this shame. Now, I could have allowed that shame to be toxic to where I told myself that I'm a bad, which I've done, right? This is all from experience of being deep in toxic shame and letting that lead to smoking, drinking, doing shit that, alleviates the shame in the moment. But then when the high is gone, now not only are you still left with the shame that from the thing you did, now you're got more shame from the thing you did to alleviate the shame from the thing you did. And it just becomes a vicious cycle. This is like literally every addict is stuck in this cycle. Shame cycle. Toxic shame. That's what I was doing in that coaching session, or after the coaching session. That's why I recognized, oh, this shame is just a message from my soul telling me that I'm not where I want to be and I'm not acting how I want to be acting. Now I get to choose to be different. And the only way that I'm going to be able to be different is by committing to releasing the shame. As soon as I feel the shame, as soon as I notice the shame, and I get the message from my soul saying I acted out of line with who I choose to be, now I get to move on to higher vibrational emotions that are actually going to serve me in making the change that I want to make. Because if I sit in this shame and I allow it to be toxic and I allow it to lead me to believe that I'm a bad person, the strongest force in the human psyche is the desire to act in line with who we identify as. If you are identified as a bad person, you best believe you're going to do bad shit. You best believe you're going to do the type of things that bad people do, which is just going to reaffirm, like neuroKnowledge says, the perception projection loop. I perceive myself to be a bad person, so I'm projecting that into outer reality by acting like a bad person. And now that just feeds back into my perception and reaffirms my belief that I'm a bad person. And it's just this perception projection loop. We've got to break that by recognizing if I actually want to be a good person, if I actually want to make a change here, it's absolutely imperative that I get rid of this shame, that I transmute the shame, and I move on to these higher vibrational emotions that are going to serve and empower me, that I say, okay, here's what I want. Let me visualize and feel how good it's going to feel when I'm experiencing what I want to be and I'm doing the things that I want to be doing. Let me hold on to that feeling and let me act as if I'm already that person. Let me choose to be that person by embodying the energy of that person right now. Not getting stuck in the old frequency. That's why, neuroKnowledge, my guy, I have to shout him out because, again, I've read so many books and this man he takes it. His words just pierce the mind, go directly to the soul. And he's given me words to describe some of these things in beautiful, beautiful ways. But I love how he describes this concept of the old frequency and the new frequency. Your old frequency, who you've been, who you think you are because you haven't disidentified from your ego, who you think yourself to be, is this old frequency, is this personality, is this bundle of mental constructs and ideas. That is an entity, a spiritual entity, and it doesn't want to die. That's why, most people come to this topic talking about how your mind, we still have our caveman brains. It has the fight or flight mode, the nervous system. They talk about how whatever is familiar to your subconscious mind is going to be deemed safe. And whatever is unfamiliar is going to be deemed unsafe. So that is why if you're doing something that's different from what you've done in the past, something that's unfamiliar, you're going to experience mental resistance to it. You're going to experience mental resistance to it. And what I'll say is, I'll throw in step number 3 here, because that's what's coming to me. Stop resisting resistance. Stop resisting resistance. There are no negative emotions. There are just negative feelings. Because emotions are energy in motion in your body. Feelings are the labels that you place on that emotion. If I feel a pit in my gut and I feel the shakes because I'm about to go speak in public, I could label that emotion as fear. I could also choose to label it as excitement, which is exactly what I do. I don't feel fear to go speak in public. I'm excited to serve and speak my truth and add value to people's lives. No fear. I could label it as fear, right? But I know the difference between feelings and emotions and how language will deter. That's why I always come back to how I never said depressed. I was down bad. I was stuck in toxic shame, laying in bed, not able to even get up and do anything. Never called myself depressed. Never let myself say the words, I am depressed. Because I understood there are certain cultures that don't even have a word for depression. And when you don't have a word for something, you don't have the ability to like experience it as deeply as when you have a word to label that and put it in the box of that. That's why I'm always telling people, stop saying my anxiety. You're just experiencing thoughts that don't serve you. Stop calling yourself, oh, I'm bipolar. Whoa, no. You are not your mind. Just because some therapist or just because society wants to place you in some box so that they can then medicate you. No, you're no boxes. You are pure consciousness. You are pure awareness. And yes, of course we have minds. Your mind might be bipolar. It might be manic. You're not your mind though. So stop identifying with those states. Okay? Going back to what I was saying. Transforming toxic shame, and then stop resisting the resistance. Once we disidentify from the ego, once we recognize that shame is just a message from our soul telling me that I've acted differently, and once we commit to being different, now we have to give ourselves the fucking permission to be 1% better every day and stop expecting ourselves to be perfect. Okay? We have to understand that there are 4 levels of learning. And let me make sure y'all can you see this fully? Okay, bet. Oh, no. Okay. So, there are 4 levels of learning. Okay? The 4 levels of learning. There's unconscious incompetence. There's conscious incompetence. There's conscious competence. And then there's unconscious competence. Okay? So first, we don't know what we don't know. Then, is this set up correctly where you can actually see me? Okay, good. So we don't know what we know. Then, we know what we don't know. Then, we know what we know. Then, we don't even know what we know. Because it's so deeply embedded in the subconscious mind that it's automatic. This unconscious competence is where we all want to be. We all want to be unconsciously competent. We all want to be in this place in life where, these new ways of being are just automatic. They're just how we move. They're so deeply embedded in the subconscious mind and our nervous system that we don't even have to think about it. That's just who we are and what we do now. Right? We all want to get to this place. And guess what? The only thing that's going to stop you from getting there is by judging yourself for not already being there. That's the only thing. The only thing that's going to stop you from becoming unconsciously competent is by not falling in love with conscious competence. It's shaming yourself for not already being there. So for example, I went to my therapist and he said that I have to listen to my spouse more. But then I went and I tried to listen and I cut him off. I fucked up and I let the ego take over and I cut him off, right? If you are shaming yourself for doing that, you're just going to keep doing that, right? Again, toxic shame. Instead of saying, okay, I noticed that I did something wrong, I cut him off. Let me go back to committing to what I said I was going to do, which is just listening. But if you're stuck in toxic shame and you're shaming yourself for fucking up like a human, you're just going to keep fucking up because now you're saying, oh, because I messed up, I guess I'm just not this type of person. I guess I just can't do this. So you're going to get stuck in that same cycle, especially if you're affirming to yourself, I just can't do it. Every time I try, if you're saying shit like, I'm trying. There is no try. Only do. Good. Don't make me get on my Yoda energy. Okay? There is no try. There's you do it or you don't do it. Right? Similar to hope, right? Stop hoping and fucking go and do it and create, right? But this is an example of how you're not giving yourself permission to get 1% better, right? You fucked up. It wasn't an immediate thing. It wasn't immediately perfect, right? Oh, I'm aware of this now. I'm aware that I need to make this shift in life. And now that I fucked up and I didn't make the shift, I guess I just can't make the shift. I guess I'm just a bad person. No. You're a human being that has a mind that has been programmed. And if your subconscious mind has been programmed from 0 to 7 or 10 years old, and then for the next 2, 3, 4, 5 decades, it was just continuously reaffirming that same programming, because that's exactly what the mind does, how do you expect yourself to be perfect the next day you just became aware of this shit? Or the next month? Or the next year? 1% better every day. Fall in love with conscious competence. Fall in love with the fact that I'm aware of this and I get to choose to be better. I get to choose to be better, right? I'm aware of how I'm messed up. It's not just in the subconscious anymore. I brought it to the conscious. I'm not just letting it run my life. But the thing is, if you let the shame keep you down, keep you thinking you're a bad person, yes, it's going to keep running your life. That's why disidentify from the ego and then recognize that toxic shame and this belief that you're not good enough, unworthy, unlovable, unworthy, unlovable, not good enough. That's just going to keep you doing the same shit. But every time you become aware of something and then you shift out of it, like for me, road rage was my thing, yelling at people. Every time I became aware of it and I said, instead of saying, fuck you, motherfucker, I said, you beautiful soul. Every time I did that and I let myself speak, you beautiful soul, and send love to this person instead of hatred or negativity, I celebrated myself internally. Internally, I'm like, you're doing it, RJ. You're fucking doing it. You're changing. You're being the person you said you wanted to be. So you disidentify. You recognize, that's not me. I am pure awareness. That's just my mind. And it's from that place that's the first step to actually allowing yourself to not have toxic shame. Because if you're wrapped up in the thoughts as if they're you, then of course you're going to say, I'm a bad person because I had bad thoughts. The mind is like a radio tower and it's just receiving thoughts based off of your energetic frequency or your vibration. Okay? And I love how neuroKnowledge, again, I've been listening to so much that it hits and I want to share it. There's a difference between frequency and vibration. Your frequency is your level of awareness. Your vibration is the emotion you're vibrating on. Okay? And you can be experiencing a low vibrational emotion, but still be high frequency. Right? And that's the game, actually. We didn't come here to feel good all the time. We came here to learn how to feel. To learn how every single emotion we have is just a message from our soul. And we got to learn how to speak the language of our soul, the language of our subconscious mind, which is emotion. Before you had language, all you had was emotion. Like, that's all you dealt with. That was your whole experience of life, was through your emotions, right? And that's why I love how Jesus said, if you want to get to the kingdom of heaven, you've got to become like a little child again. And what are we? A little child, fully present, not wrapped up in the incessant chat of our mind, fully expressed, authentically expressed, no reason not to be our authentic self and speak our mind, speak our truth, right? Getting back to this place where we don't have all these energetic blockages that's, I'm not good enough, I'm not worthy, I'm all this blockage to our life force energy. Getting back to that place where those blockages are cleared and that energy can just flow and you can be fully present in the moment, because you know that nothing outside of you can make you feel good. You know that everything you want outside of you is just so that you can feel a certain way, and you recognize that I can cultivate those feelings from within. Feelings aren't something that just happen to me, they come from me, they're cultivated by me. So you disidentify from the ego, which is the first, because you're not going to be able to transmute toxic shame into healthy shame if you're wrapped up in your mind thinking that you are your personality, right? So disidentify, then recognize toxic shame isn't supporting me. If I want to actually make a change, I got to move it on to healthy shame. And you just invalidate the bullshit toxic shame. Just recognize from a logical perspective that if I was a bad person, I wouldn't be feeling this shame. There's like a part of our minds that tell us that no, you can't release this shame, because if you don't feel this shame, that means you're a bad person. No. The fact that you feel the shame in the first place is the message, is the signal, the sign that you are a good person. Because if you were actually a bad person, you would just do fucked up shit and you wouldn't feel any sort of way about it. So as soon as you feel ashamed, that's your message. Oh, I'm a good person that did something bad, and that's why I'm feeling shame. Thank you, soul, for reminding me that's not who I really am. Now I get to commit to doing better. And when you commit to doing better, the only way you're actually going to do better is if you stop resisting resistance, okay? And you fall in love with conscious competence. You fall in love with conscious competence. You recognize that even if I had to go the rest of my life saying some shit that's fucked up, and then noticing that I said or thought some shit that was fucked up, and then saying, that's not who I want to be. Hey, sorry. And right, doing the repair and committing to repair and committing to being better, even if this is a lifelong process of, even if I never get to a place where it's just unconscious and I'm just automatically perfect, even if I never get there, I'm celebrating the fact that I'm no longer wrapped up in the incessant chatter of my mind. I'm no longer allowing what is subconscious to run my life. I've now brought what is subconscious to the conscious, and I run my life now. I fuck up, and then I choose differently. And that is beautiful. That is cause for celebration. And every time you do that, every time you actually celebrate yourself and say, yo, I'm doing it, I'm getting 1% better every day, you're eventually going to get to a place where it's unconscious, where it's easy, where it's just, this is just who you are now. You've fucked up and made the change so many times and affirmed yourself and affirmed who you want to be and developed so much evidence for your subconscious mind to allow it to believe that that's who you really are, that's now who you actually are. That's how you're actually showing up. And a lot of it is unconscious. Okay? It took me a while, probably years, of hating waking up in the morning, identifying as not a morning person, but I kept getting up anyway. I didn't say, oh, it's hard to get up, I'm resisting waking up in the morning, so I guess I'm just not a morning person, and I guess I'll just never be a morning person. I just can't do this. Instead of resisting the resistance, I realized physical muscles grow the same way that energetic or emotional muscles do. Resistance. If I'm not experiencing the resistance, I'm not growing. So this fear, this doubt, this resistance is just a message. It's just showing me that I'm on the path of expansion and evolution, right? So now it's like when you reprogram, when you rewire, when you reframe and recognize that fear, self-doubt, they're very good things. If you're not experiencing that, that means you're stuck in a bubble. You're stuck in your comfort zone, and you're just doing what's familiar to your subconscious mind, and you're not growing or expanding. So you should be feeling fear and self-doubt every day and moving. That's why, especially us men, we need to be living at our edge, right? If we're just doing the same shit and stuck in our comfort zone, our masculine energy is beep, 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 beep. We're just becoming small, little, and sorry I put it this way, little bitches, okay? Because we're afraid of not, we're the guys who, someone is saying something that we don't like, that we don't agree with, and we're just validating their, yeah, instead of saying, no, this is what I believe. This is my truth, right? We're the guys. Oh, why? Because we're resisting resistance. Because we think that if we're not living at our edge, we're not expanding our comfort zone, we're not doing shit that scares us and expands us and evolves our soul, right? That's what us men especially really need, okay? So I pray that this added value, if you are someone who, again, if you're experiencing depression, if you're not where you want to be in your relationships and your finances and your fitness and those 3 areas of human mastery, health, wealth, and relationships, I pray that this added value for you to recognize that just because you're experiencing something right now and what you're experiencing is affirming to you who you are, that's not who you are. That's just who you became based off of programming from childhood that your subconscious mind then reaffirmed over years and years. And you're just on a path of reprogramming your mind. And again, if it took decades, if you've been reaffirming this programming and believing that you are a bundle of mental constructs and ideas and believing you are a personality for years, you can't expect yourself to go 0 to 100 immediately. I mean, you can expect yourself to do that. Just expect yourself to also stay stuck exactly where you are. Right? So I'll leave you with this. Please remember, just like my man Preston Smiles says, my coach, and the reason why in a plant medicine ceremony, the first time I felt like I was channeling divine information, the voice that came out of my voice box was not mine. It felt like it's a sound. I heard his voice coming out of my mouth, and that was God telling me, hey, he's got the words that resonate deeply with your soul. Speak them, make them affirmations for yourself. And one of my most powerful affirmations came from him, which is this: I am, you are, we are unique emanations of the Most High. We have been sent here to reflect and reveal God's love in only the way that we can. Me personally, I've been sent here to remind us all of the one truth, that love is all there is, was, and ever will be. That love is the foundational truth. Love is the fucking energy that brings the cells of our bodies together and makes us feel like we want to become one, both physically and emotionally, because we are all one in our essential nature. When you know who you are, you will stop robbing God of the experience he, she, it came to have through you. You will recognize that abundance is your birthright. Your birthright, that God wants for you what you want for you. But the thing is, God is not some white man with a beard in the sky looking down, judging you, right? It is an impersonal energy. It is the energy. It is the force that gives order and origin to everything in the universe. It is source energy, the source of the Big Bang. It is the energy that fills and permeates and penetrates the interspaces of the universe. Your soul is not housed in the body. Your soul is the energy that brings the cells of your body together. You are made with atoms that are 99.99999% empty space, but the space isn't empty. It's pure energy, pure potential. You are an infinite, limitless being that came here and morphed itself into this physical vessel, into this avatar, to have a unique experience. And you give the universe a unique perspective so that it can continue to expand and evolve. The best thing you can be doing for the world, and obviously for yourself, because they are one thing, is to keep expanding and evolving within you. And if you don't do these things, if you don't disidentify from your ego and remember that you are one with God, if you don't transmute that toxic shame into healthy shame and just let that be a message from your soul, if you keep resisting your resistance and beating yourself up and shaming yourself for feeling fear and self-doubt and for things being difficult, if you just keep beating yourself up and shaming yourself for that, and if you don't fall in love with the fact that you're making the subconscious conscious and you can consciously make a shift, you're going to live your life. You're going to live your life like you're trying to get to the horizon, always needing more, better, new to feel good about yourself, because you get your self-worth from outside validation, from material items, from whatever the fuck it is, money, cars, girls, clothes, booty, titties, dick, whatever it is, you get your self-worth from the outside. And that outside in game never ends. You will live your life like you're trying to get to the horizon, and the horizon will keep moving back because you keep chasing material items that you think are going to make you feel good in here, when you don't realize that it's all in here. You've got it all within you. And when you commit to this inner work, you will learn how to cultivate it all from within. And the things you want, you won't even want them anymore. You will give them to yourself energetically, because you realize those things I want are just because I believe they're going to make me feel a certain way. I can cultivate that feeling from within. I'm the source. I'm the source. And I get my unconditional love from the source, from source energy. I get the protection and provision that I didn't get from my father, from within, from source, from father source. I get the nurturing and the unconditional love that I didn't get from my mother, from mother source, from mother earth, from within. I love you so much. I pray this added value to you. Please hit me up if this is something that you want support with. This is what I do. This is what I'm sure you can see. This is my greatest passion in life, to be able to help people get to this level of consciousness where they understand and remember who you really are, and you can take action from love, from abundance, from self-worth, from self-love, not for those things, which is how most of us are taking action, for the love outside of us. But when you can start taking action from that place, when you can start playing this inside-out game, ooh-wee. It's a beautiful place to be. It's a beautiful way to live. So again, I love you so much because you are me, I am you, we are one. Thank you for your attention, but more so, thank you for your intention to take action with this shit, because knowledge is not power, it's potential power. Action or applied knowledge is where the power resides. So I pray you can take one nugget, just take one thing that you can implement into your life. All right? So yeah, I gotta take this doggy out before my 12 o'clock appointment. But again, I pray this added tremendous value to you all. Thank you so much for hopping in, if you did join live or if you're watching this after the fact. And yeah, I'm here for you if you need support. Much love.